G'day. I've just started using open broadcast software to make videos. They allow me to put my logo in, also to have me on the screen, for better or worse. So I use this to do video reports for the riders rather than just scribble out lots of text, and also just to do YouTubes to hopefully spark discussion. So my background, been a coach for 34 years. I've also gone the full pathway academically, a psychology degree, a subgraduate diploma in sports studies, a postgraduate diploma in sports and exercise medicine, a master's degree in exercise physiology, and a PhD in bioengineering, where I focused on utilising power meter data from the bikes to model sprint cycling performance predominantly, but also broadened it in my last few chapters to track endurance events as well. And that's very applicable to road cycling as well. So today it's my ride. So we see up here in the top corner we've got all my details. For some reason, WKO, which is the software analysis I use, it says I'm a sprinter, big to differ. My current FTP, this is what I set, I think it's 204, currently based off the last 90 days, WKO thinks it's 217, but I also use the critical power equation developed by Leo, Sprague and Swart, which is takes the leading edge of the data for several durations and estimates that, just gets away from that area there where if there are not maximal performances here, so we can see the green, my mean maximal power curve. There's a few areas here where I dip below the red power duration curve, so that's the modelled curve. Also there's normalised power and torque. So whichever one I use is generally the lower one there. So I'm using 204 watts as my threshold. It's not a contest. It's a useful metric to help you estimate training zones. Not that I think there's any reason to be obsessive in setting your training zones, because if training's progressing as it should, if you get the loading correct, it's going to be an ever constantly moving target. For any efforts, so tomorrow if all my resting scores are good, I might do some efforts, so say at 60%, 60 seconds, 445 watts. So for a master cyclist untrained, I'll set a target of around maybe 85% of that and do repetitions, and then the last one I'll go ballistic and see if I can bump that 445 up a little further. So today's ride, planned was the 3-hour basic endurance ride, so take that FTP number and work out 55 to 75% there. Again, you could go into the lab and do the VT or the LT1 to get it precise, but I think again that level of analysis and the fact that you're doing it in a lab, not out in the field, I'm training in the middle of winter. It was 8 degrees today. It wasn't particularly pleasant. But anyway, long-term goal was to do the Round the Gorges ride. So to do the Round the Gorges ride, you got to go up through Rangiora. So I've just worked out, now Rangiora over the years has become busier and busier, and there's just a whole heap of traffic, so I've been mapping out a way to bike out there that is predominantly bike paths. So this whole area here from Kaiapoi up to Rangiora, it's all bike paths, so that's really good, and I sneak through the back side of town and go up there. And then today I came back down through Woodend, snuck around the back, but I think there's good ways to just go down the State Highway 1, so that's New Zealand's #1 highway. So avoid that, and then otherwise just use the bike path to go out there and bike path to come all the way back home. From there, basic endurance ride. I don't give too much information of what to look at there, so I covered 80k's, which is pretty good. I had a really good 4-week period of training, and then I had 2 weeks where I just felt like crap, and now I seem to have bounced back, so touch wood. I will keep going. 3 hours 41 and 21.8k average speed, which is pretty darn slow, so I'll look to progress this ride once I can sort of do this 80k ride in around 3 hours. That would be just under 30k, maybe it's around 28k an hour, so that'll be a good endurance pace for me. Average power 114, normalised power 120, 24, cadence 76. My threshold cadence is around 86. Torque quite low, 15.03 nanometers. Heart rate average 124. Heart rate variability average 516, so that's on the high side. If it was down in the 300s for endurance ride, I'd be a bit worried. 153 metres of climbing. Respiration rate, this is based off a wee app I use on my Garmin. I think it's reasonably good. Left-right balance, I've been having left-right balance issues. They seem to be getting better, so 48, 52 is not too bad. Once it gets to 45, 55, it's where I start to look at things. The trended fluctuation analysis, alpha 1. I've yet to see anything really here that is of use. Says today 0.93, so that means I would have been above my lactate threshold 1. But still, if you look at the actual, if we go up to, if we go down to detrended, oops, detrended, no, not there. I think I've taken it out. Alright, that's detrended fluctuation analysis. So you can see there, it's for a steady state ride, it's all over the show. Whereas heart rate, even respiratory rate, even though it's sort of basically a similar heart rate variability derived number, that's just messy. That's just reading tea leaves. So yeah, we'll come back to that. Although that being said, heart rate variability, a newish Polar H10, quite expensive, $150, 150 to 175 bucks, and I actually think the one that I replaced was never this bad. All these little spikes in in here. So yeah, that's not good. So maybe I'll try the Sunto with MoveSense heart rate strap. Some of the other things there, kilojoules burned, 1500 kilojoules burned, variability index, normalized power divided by average power, 1.09, so a bit of variability, but there's a little bit of incline here and there. Temperature build up to 12, so it was 8 for quite a bit of it that I was watching, but it did warm up later in the afternoon. Training stress score 137. Training stress score is normalised power times intensity factor squared. Again, the climbing, the average altitude in metres, distance 80.5 k's. EF, that's heart rate based, heart rate versus power. Don't really pay much attention to that, but it's safe to say that especially on hot days, your heart rate's going to increase as the body starts to overheat, and you're working, the heart rate's working hard to release heat in there as well. So if we look at the watts, yep, fairly standard torque. Yeah, a few wee accelerations there where the torque does spike up. Nothing in there. Yeah, 40s, 40, 45. So there's nothing in there that I need to go through and clean. Delta functional reserve capacity. So it's an endurance ride. I did dip above, or shoot above, go above threshold a little bit. Heart rate, you can see it just starts to trend upwards later on the ride. I did start to feel a wee bit fatigued, and you can see heart rate variability just starts to drop near the end. Respiratory rate again just increases over the ride. RPM, yeah, not much to write home about there. Speed, basically determined by the elevation. We can see the elevation there. Yeah, just a few little rollers on the bike path down the northern corridor, both ways. You're just climbing a little bit in towards Rangiora, and then shooting back down towards Woodend, back through Kaipoi. And no real climbs, gradient, yeah, hardly over 1% at any point. So all in all, a good ride there. So maybe I'll have some different things to report tomorrow when I look at my possibly interval session, or effort session, because I hate intervals. I don't do intervals.